This is the Wheelbarrow game, and it's a game with compound words that is a way of introducing children to the idea that words can be taken apart into pieces and pieces can be put back together to make bigger words. So I usually start with the word wheelbarrow. Most children know what a wheelbarrow is, and if they've had any experience of them, they often think they're fun. They've often had rides in them and have good associations. So you put up one hand and you say wheel. You put up the other hand and you say barrow, and you say these words can be put together, wheel, barrow. And you bring your hands together, but you don't keep talking like I am, because if a child is just learning to hear small sounds within big sounds, then keeping talking will put them off. So wheel, barrow, wheelbarrow. So there's no talk in between wheel, barrow, wheelbarrow. And then you say, now you try one. Start with another word the child will have happy associations with. So butterfly. And the child will often say butterfly, but if they don't, you say butterfly and you say, now let's try that together. Butterfly, butterfly. And you can find lovely lists of compound words online, and you can pick out the ones that are interesting to the child. So things like sunflower, things that the child will know what they are, they've heard the word, and you're just first of all saying two individual words and putting them together with the idea that when we make the sounds individually, we can make the gap between them smaller, and these things join up to a bigger word. And then you say, well, I wonder if we could take some words apart. So what if I start with hedgehog? Hedgehog. Can we make that into two little words? And you wait, you don't talk like I am, you wait for the child and see if they will say hedge or h or anything that's part of the word. And one of my children had always heard the word as hair-chog, like hair, and this imaginary word chog. So you learn things about what your children think the words are, and you can have some fun with that. And if they're hearing some of the sounds and they break it in a different place, like hair-chog, they are still learning to pull sounds apart and put them together. It's interesting that they're not hearing the little words in the big word, but you praise what they're doing, that they can hear the beginning sound or the last sound or a syllable or whatever it was, and you just carry on. Okay, so we're looking for hedgehog, hedgehog, and you either do it with the child or you say hedgehog and the child says hedgehog, and so you move on. And as children have played the game a few times, they will offer words to you for you to break apart and put together, and then you can move to things like just hearing the initial letter and the rest of the word with one syllable words. So if I say cat, is there a way to break that apart? And you're looking for cat or cat. It doesn't really matter how the child breaks it apart, but they're usually going to break words apart into two words, two sounds, before they break them into more. And then putting them together, you have to be very careful, because if you say k-at, well, that's going to be k-at, which isn't really a word. So when we're putting together those one syllable words, we often start with words that begin with L, S, M or N, because it's pretty easy not to say at the end of them. So while we might find ourselves saying k-at, we're not going to have the problem with sat, s-at. We're not going to have the problem with lamb, am. We don't find ourselves adding that extra little sound that we don't really say when we put the word together. So start with those ones. S, n, m, those ones that are easy to say without adding an extra sound. And this is a great game because you don't actually need to be looking at the words. This can start before children are looking at words or after they've given up on looking at words if they're children who've found learning to read really hard. You can play them in the car while you're waiting for someone to come back from the shop. You can play them while the jug boils. You can do them little and often. And it really does help children to begin to hear how you can put sounds together and pull them apart to make words.